When you're ready, Mr. Davis, we'll start. Kirsty
Right,
Blackman.
let's get started. Hello, welcome to
Mr.
PMQs with Graham Hughes. Sorry for being glitchy today. My
Mr.
laptop
Speaker,
isn't
I know
working
the
so
whole
well.
House will join me in sending condolences
As you can
to
hear.
the First Minister of Wales on the death of his wife, Claire. I know
really
from the
sad.
warmth of the tributes made how much she will be missed. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Kirsty Blackman. Here.
As the Prime Minister reaches 100 days in office this week, having pledged a government...
Twice that of Liz Truss, by the way. Double Liz Truss's tenure.
Having pledged a government marked by integrity, what are his thoughts on the UK being one of only 5 countries, along with Oman, Azerbaijan, Myanmar and Qatar, that has seen a decrease in Transparency International's corruption index score since last year?
Yeah, good question to start with.
Well, Mr. Speaker, in fact, there's widespread recognition and support for the UK's approach to transparency and indeed tackling corruption. Indeed, the most recent report from the FATF body commended the UK for the steps that it had taken.
He just fucking lies, doesn't he?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I refer to my entry in the Register of Interest.
Really sorry if this is glitchy.
Arts Council
I'm
England
really
was
sorry.
established to increase access to
Sorry.
great art for the population.
I've turned down the bit rate a
There's real
little bit.
concern and anger that their current funding decisions do the exactly reverse of that on the basis of inadequate evidence and a lack of transparency in the process. Will my right honourable friend meet with me and other concerned members to discuss the situation in which centres of national excellence like English National Opera are at risk of closure and discuss a way in which we can reform the operations of Arts Council, which many people no longer feel is fit for purpose?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I know that this is an issue that my honourable friend deeply cares about.
No
he
one
will
else
know
does.
that decisions made by the Arts
Hi
Council
to
are taken
Jacob,
at
hi
arm's
to
length
Ben,
with
hi
government.
to
DCMS
David,
ministers have been
and
assured
Graham,
that that
and
process
Vic
was
over there
robust,
saying
but I will
thank
ensure
you for
that
swearing.
he gets a meeting with the relevant minister to
Effectively.
discuss this important matter further.
About as
Now comes the leader of the
transparent as a
opposition,
wall
Keir
covered in shit.
Starmer.
I'm really sorry, it's really glitchy. The frame rate is really
Thank you,
coming
Mr.
across
Speaker.
really
Can I
crap.
join the Prime Minister in his words about the First Minister of Wales and the
really
sad loss of
groaning.
his wife? Everybody, I think, knows just how close they were, and I know that he's absolutely devastated by her loss at the weekend.
Poor Mark.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister briefly emerged from his hibernation at the weekend, he raised more questions than answers. So, in the interests of integrity and accountability, can he set the record straight? Did his now former chair tell government officials that he was under investigation by the taxman before or after the Prime Minister appointed him?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I appointed the independent advisor to investigate this matter fully.
Oh, really?
He has set out his findings in detail over the weekend, and on receipt of those findings, I took action, and I refer the honourable gentleman to the independent advisor's report.
Keir Starmer.
Oh, come on.
Lies
Anyone
as
picking
easy
up
as
anyone picking up a newspaper in July last year would have known that HMRC and the National Crime Agency were investigating months before he appointed him.
Exactly.
Mr. Speaker, The Independent, 6th of July, new Chancellor's finances secretly investigated by the National Crime Agency. The Observer, 3 days later, 9th of July,
National Crime
revealed
Agency.
officials
Emily
raised
Thornbury
flag over
chatting in
tax
there.
affairs before he was appointed Chancellor. The Financial Times, the next day, 10th of July, pressure bills to explain his finances. Is he saying his officials hid this information from him, or was he just too incurious to ask any questions?
Curious.
Mr. Speaker, as I
Incontious,
said
more
before
like.
at the dispatch box, the usual appointments process was followed with respect to the Minister without portfolio.
Right.
No issues were raised with me at the time
say
of
so,
his
mate.
appointment, but as the independent advisor's report makes clear, there was a serious breach of the ministerial code, and that's why I took decisive action.
You
on
are a
receipt
breach
that
of the
report.
ministerial code. Okay, so how come you didn't sack
So,
other
in
people
relation to his
for
former
breaking
chair,
the ministerial
his
code?
defence is, nobody told me, I didn't know, I didn't ask any questions.
Yeah.
Is the Prime Minister now also going to claim that he was the...
Order, Prime Minister. Mr. Gullis, we heard enough last week. I can't
Oh,
hear
God.
what you're saying.
Fucking
I might
Jonathan
not be able to hear
Gullis.
what you're saying,
What a
but I can
fucking
certainly
gargoyle.
see you both moving.
What
You're
a
moving outside if it continues. Prime
fucking
Minister.
just throw him out. Throw him out the fucking window,
So,
mate.
for his former
Defenestrate
chair,
the cunt.
Nobody told me, I didn't know, I didn't ask any questions. Is the Prime Minister now also going to claim that he's the only person completely unaware of serious allegations of
Yes.
bullying against the Deputy Prime Minister before he appointed him?
Yes. 24 allegations. 24. 24 separate
The honourable
people.
gentleman asked,
One
these
is bad enough.
about
24.
what was known, and I followed
My God.
due process. I appointed an independent advisor as soon as I was made aware.
Oh,
of,
right, yeah.
as
Sure you
soon
were,
as
mate.
I was made aware of new
Yeah.
information, the independent advisors conducted his process.
lying.
But if he is so concerned
can tell
about
he's
what
lying,
people are saying
'cause
and
his
is so
fucking
concerned
mouth
about
is
behaviour
moving.
in public life, then recently one of his own MPs was forced to speak out because being in his party had reminded her of being in an abusive relationship. And then his own office was caught undermining her.
Thanks for the super chat,
He
Alexis.
ought to be
What's he
supporting
talking
her
about? What?
and her colleagues.
I don't
But
even
if he
know
can't
about
be
this.
trusted to stand up for the women
What?
in his party, he can't be trusted
That
to
just
stand
stand
up
up
for
for the
Britain.
women of his party. 24 people
Mr.
complained
Speaker,
against Dominic
At the
Raab.
last count, the Deputy Prime Minister was facing 24 separate
Yeah,
allegations
24.
of bullying.
Fuck's
According
sake.
to recent reports, some of the
horrible
complainants
New
were
Statesman,
physically
fucking
sick.
Alan Bastard
One
cunt.
says they were left suicidal. How would he feel if one of his friends or relatives was being forced to work for a bully simply because the man at the top was too weak
Yeah.
to do anything about it?
Yeah. Too weak.
Mr. Speaker,
Weak.
I noticed he didn't say anything about why one of his own MPs describes being in his own
What?
party.
So he's got no response to
And this
this.
is different.
All he can do is attack and say, "Oh,
When I
but
was
your
made aware
party's
of
a bit
former
rubbish."
complaints, I instructed
You're in
a
fucking
leading
charge
independent
of the
KC
government.
to conduct an investigation because I take
Full
action
faith in
when these things
Harvey and
happen.
then sacked him
But
11
what did
days
he
later.
say at the
I
weekend?
know,
He
Duke.
said at the weekend that hate had been allowed to spread unchallenged
Yes.
in the Labour Party under
Yes.
his predecessor. He was
No, by
speaking
you.
as if he wasn't even there. But
What?
he was sitting right next to him.
What, and you were
supporting
sitting
him
next
for
to fucking
4
Boris
long
Johnson while he was
years,
partying
not
and
challenging.
orgying his way
And
through
it
fucking
is typical
lockdown?
of him,
You
Mr.
lying sack of shit.
Speaker,
You were standing there
declining to lead,
when he
sitting
breached the
on
ministerial
fence,
code,
coughing
refused to
from the
resign,
sidelines,
and when Priti Patel
and
breached the ministerial code
never
and refused to
standing
resign.
up for the principle that
Fucking,
matters.
you don't have any fucking principles. Fucking cunt.
Prime Minister. Minister.
You actually fucking peeked the microphone there. Must be getting angry, little fucking
I
asshole.
want to hear both sides, and I'm not
Really?
going to be interrupted by
you
either
have to?
side. And I'm particularly looking for people who want to continue this because we will sort it out today. Keir Starmer.
Speaker, he's just like one of his predecessors who treated questions about conduct as something to brush off, who thought that ducking responsibility was a perfectly reasonable response for a Prime
Yeah.
Minister. At least in fairness, his predecessor didn't go around pretending he was a paragon of integrity and accountability. But on that subject, was it a coincidence
High context.
that the two people who
I left the
arranged
voter.
an
You do get a medal.
£800,000 line of credit for the former Prime Minister were both
chocolate.
shortlisted for plum jobs at the BBC and
Yeah.
the British Council?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker,
Planet of the
as we
Apes.
addressed
It's
previously, the
fucking,
appointments process
Dulles,
for the
Planet
BBC
of the Apes.
chairman is rigorous, it's transparent,
I'm really sorry
it's set
about
out
the,
in a public
the
code of
quality of
conduct, and indeed,
Live cast, it's
was
not
fully
great, is it?
supported not just by an expert panel members, but also by the cross-party
At
DCMS
least you get
Select
to see a
Committee,
few refrains of this fucker.
including where Labour members described the appointment as impressive.
Yeah,
But
cursed
Mr.
off.
Speaker,
Pretend to be
Mr.
primary
Speaker,
school pupils, indeed.
back
I think
back
primary
this
school
week in
pupils are
terms of
more
what is
eloquent,
actually
mate.
happening to the people of this country. He voted this week with the unions to oppose minimum safety
Say
levels.
delivering.
He voted with Just Stop Oil to
vote.
water
Why
down
won't
the
he
public
support
order
us?
bill.
Why won't he
And what do the
support
unions
us?
and Just Stop Oil
He's the
have
leader of
in
the opposition,
common?
you daft
They
twat.
bankroll him
Leader
and his
of
party, Mr.
the
Speaker.
opposition. Bankroll, you're talking about
So
being
while
bankroll.
he
You're
sides
bankrolled by the
with
fucking
extremist
Russians,
protesters and
mate.
union bosses,
By the
we
fucking
stand up
Russians.
for
By
hard-working
fucking
Britons
Putin,
and
you
school
cunt. Fucking rat, fucking
After
cunt.
13 years in power, trying to blame the Labour Party for his failure to sort out the strikes is rank pathetic. The Tory party's addiction to sleaze and scandal has done huge damage to this country, and the cost to the public keeps adding up. We've got a justice system letting murderers walk the streets, heart attack victims waiting hours for an ambulance, an economy that's shrinking quicker than his leadership. And even I couldn't quite believe it when I saw that his government is expecting taxpayers to pay the legal fees for the member for Uxbridge defending himself over his lockdown rule breaking. £250,000.
Wow.
Surely even this Prime Minister can put his foot down, stand up to his old boss and tell him he made the mess, he can pick up the bill.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, he can't stand up to his union bosses.
What?
He
What?
He
Doesn't
can't
do
stand
anything, you
up for
fucking
Britain's
twat.
schoolchildren today.
You absolute slag bag.
And he can't
You
stand up for the
fucking
women
rolling
in his
rat
party,
face.
Mr.
What the
Speaker.
fuck are you on about?
We're getting on, we're halving inflation.
Oh, you gotta
we're growing
deliver.
the economy,
Deliver, say
we're
deliver.
reducing debt, we're cutting waiting lists,
mention
and we're stopping
mention
the vote.
Jeremy Corbyn.
While
Oh,
he
you've already
can't
done
even
that.
figure out what he believes
Yeah.
in. We'll keep
Jeremy
delivering for
Corbyn
Britain.
delivering Jeremy Corbyn. Hope you're playing your PMQs bingo.
Would my right honourable friend agree with me that the Integrated Care Board
who's this
must
fucker?
prioritise
So she's a
more
Hyacinth
access to new
Bouquet.
GP services,
All female
especially in
Labour
places like
MPs
South
either
Derbyshire,
Hyacinth
where new
Bouquet
housing estates
or-
are being built at the fastest rate in England,
horrible
and in
thing that they are.
particular on the new
It's a trudge ball.
brownfield development of Drakeland.
Hyacinth Bouquet.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the government is committed to increasing the number of doctors in general practice, and last year saw the highest ever number of doctors accept a GP training place. The
Oh,
BMA
right,
are
record
consulting
numbers,
each year
yeah,
on the funding of GP
150,000
services,
vacancies
and
in the
one will know
NHS.
that the NHS
These
has a
cunts are
statutory
talking
duty
about
to
charging
ensure
people
sufficient medical
to
services,
go to A&E,
including general practice,
to get an
in
ambulance
each
to
local
A&E. They're
area.
going to charge people for that. They're
Leader
going
of
to
the
charge you to see
SNP,
a
Stephen
GP.
Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to pass on my condolences and indeed those of my party to the First Minister of Wales and also to the family, friends and colleagues of firefighter Barry Martin, who so sadly lost his life following the blaze in Edinburgh just last week. Mr. Speaker, we've just marked the 3-year anniversary of Brexit, and we've learned... They'll not be cheering in a moment, Mr. Speaker, because we have learned three things. The UK's trade deficit has grown. The economy is being hit to the tune of £100 billion each year, and of course, we know that the UK's economy is expected to be the worst performing of all advanced nations. Does the Prime Minister still believe that the UK can afford not to be in the European Union?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, if you actually
The people
look at
voted for it, so we have to do it.
Since Brexit, the UK has grown
Brexit.
exactly the same as Germany has,
What? No,
Mr.
it hasn't.
Speaker. But
Fucking-
not only that,
what a
we are
fucking
taking advantage
liar.
of Brexit to deliver
You
for the people
fucking
across
liar.
the UK, whether it's the
We've
fishing
grown the same
and
as
farming
Germany.
communities of
Germany's
Scotland,
back to
whether
where
it's
it
through
was
the two new
before the
freeports
fucking
that we've just
pandemic.
announced.
We're
But,
not.
Mr. Speaker, the
When are you
difference
saying since
between his
Brexit
party
from,
and ours
cunts?
is that we respect referendums.
Oh, right, you respect referendums,
Mr. Speaker,
really?
let's be
What about the
clear.
Scottish
Taken
referendum you
together,
had in the
2022 and
70s that you didn't
2023 are
allow?
expected to be the worst years for living standards since the
referendums.
1930s,
Go
and the
your way,
economy
Tory scum.
is expected to perform worse than sanction hit Russia. So as the Brexit shit sinks with the Prime
Brexit shit
Minister
sinks.
and the Leader of the Opposition at the helm, does he blame those Scots who want to jump aboard the independence lifeboat?
Mr. Speaker, the number one factor that is impacting people's living standards, inflation, caused by high energy prices as a result of a war in Ukraine, Mr. Speaker. It's got nothing to do with Brexit, and that's why the government is taking significant significant action.
Bullshit,
supporting
it's
every
nothing to
family
do with
with
Brexit.
£900 this
Everywhere
winter.
has
But what
to
I would say
deal
to him
with
is
COVID. Everywhere
rather
has to
than
deal with the
obsess
rising price of
about
fuel because of the war in
constitutional
Ukraine.
arrangements, focus on
Everywhere
delivering
does.
to the people
We
of
are
Scotland. That's
the
what we
lowest in not just the G7, not just advanced nations, but emerging economies.
Baby daughter of my constituents, Gary and Sarah Andrews, died just 23 minutes after she was born. When they asked questions about that, the parents were told that these things happen and that if they had to listen to the concerns of every mother, they would be overrun. Thanks to dogged campaigning by Gary and Sarah and other parents whose babies had died avoidably, Nottingham University Hospital's trust was found to have systemic failures, and last week was given the highest fine that's ever been given for failings in maternity care. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that this case, this situation, has to serve not just as a watershed moment for having the highest standards of maternity care, but also that when things do go wrong in something like an NHS trust or another public body, they have to be open, honest and transparent about their failings so that people can get the truth and not have it hidden from them.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very sorry to hear about the tragic case that my honourable friend raises, and I know the whole House will join me in sending our thoughts to Gary and Sarah. We want to make sure that the NHS is the best and safest place in the world to give birth, and the NHS has taken steps to improve, but cases such as the one that my honourable friend raises highlight that more must be done. Nottingham University Trust is receiving support from the expert maternity improvement advisors, and nationally the Royal College is implementing the recommendations from the independent Ockenden report, together with £127 million of extra investment. But my honourable friend is absolutely right. When situations like this do arise, transparency is paramount, so we can seek answers and make improvements.
Caroline Luke.
And this is what happens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's nearly 10 years since the tragic death of 9-year-old Ella Roberta, the first person ever to have air pollution listed on her death certificate. Yesterday's Environmental Improvement Plan pledges to improve air quality, but the government's targets are for 2040. That's a whole generation away. I don't think that's fast enough, and neither does Ella's mum, Rosamond Adu Kisi-Deborah. So on her mum's behalf, will the Prime Minister agree to meet us both to discuss the life-saving measures in a new proposed bill called Ella's Law?
Mr. Speaker, it's obviously very sad to hear the case of Ella, and our thoughts and hearts go out to her family.
Not making
With
loads
regard
of
to the
money
legislation,
out of
as
fuels.
my honourable friend, the Environment Secretary, will be making a statement later today, we are confident that the measures we are putting in place are not only legally binding, but also world-leading
measures
in
like
tackling
banning
air quality.
banning onshore wind farms. That's what you
one
cunts did, wasn't
every
it?
single
Banned
air
onshore
particulate has
wind
been
farms.
reduced, with binding targets to continue reducing them
whatever you fucking say,
in future, and indeed the Environment Act makes sure that we have the capability, accountability and
of
ambition we
the
need
4,000
to make all
laws
the
that these
effective
cunts are
interventions
overturning
to drive down air
EU
pollution.
Act, right?
Dr. Liam Fox.
500 of them
Thank you,
involve
Mr. Speaker.
wildlife,
Compared to what
nature,
some people
the
seem to
environment.
believe, 82%
500
of the jobs in our economy
cunts.
are in the private sector, compared to
fucking
18%
Liam Fox,
in
here
the
he
public
is.
sector.
Daft twat.
Most of those private sector jobs will be in small businesses, the small businesses that we will depend upon for wealth creation and prosperity in the future. Will my right honourable friend consider bringing in a small business test across government so that every regulation we produce, every bit of legislation we produce will help, not hinder, small businesses? And does he share my ambition?
You can give a shit
that every
about
white
small
van
business,
man
mate.
and
You
woman and every
Brexit
white
fucking minister,
coat,
weren't you,
coat
for a week
tech
or
worker in this
something?
country
Getting
who
your
regard
amazing
the
fucking
Conservative
trade
Party
deals
as their
around the
natural
world.
champions.
Fucking embarrassing fucking sack of shite. Is there a fox that isn't a embarrassing sack of shite? Fox Mulder.
In supporting
Right,
small
Samantha Fox.
businesses. I'm pleased to
Jamie
tell
Fox,
my honourable
he's
friend that
all
we
right.
do have a small business test to consider whether the impacts
Michael
of
J.
regulatory changes will disproportionately affect small and micro businesses. I will make sure that we are applying that test rigorously, and he'll be pleased to know that many small businesses will benefit from billions of pounds in business rates reductions this coming financial year, as well as our annual investment allowance, which at £1 million is the most generous tax incentive
£1 million
for investment for small
That's it.
businesses anywhere
£1
in the
million
world.
pounds. We're giving them £1 million each.
Just 2 hours ago, I launched the APPG on prepayment meters. I did so because most people on these meters are on very low incomes, and yet they pay more per unit of energy than the Prime Minister does. They pay higher daily standing charges than the Prime Minister. They're automatically disconnected from their energy supply the second they run out of money.
And they're paying more for their energy.
And perversely, right now, record numbers of people are being forced onto them by the energy companies. Yeah. Can the Prime Minister even begin to imagine how terrifying that moment is when the lights go out and everything shuts down? And will he agree with me, rather than reading out, please, what he's got written in front of him, will he just agree with me that what I've just described is completely unfair?
Go on. Say it's unfair. Go on.
Mr. Speaker,
700
the
million.
government does recognise
Short-ass
the
cunt.
challenges
Come on.
facing those on prepayment meters, and that's why the government is taking action.
You've never met anyone who's working class, you
Secretary of
cunt.
State has set out 5 very specific
Fucking
points on
tough,
prepayment
Winchester
meters.
fucking tough.
Energy suppliers are being spoken to make sure that they treat customers with the respect and flexibility that they deserve. And finally,
what the fuck?
Have announced that they are launching a review into
tell these
supply
private
practices
companies to tell
in
their customers
relation
to treat them with
prepayment
respect.
meters.
Good
But
luck
all of
with
this,
that, mate.
Mr. Speaker, comes on
Anyone
top of the
spends fucking
considerable
45 minutes on a
financial
fucking
support
phone line
that
trying to
this
get through to
government
the
has
cunts.
provided
Can
to help
testify.
people with their energy bills,
Fucking
with more
arsehole.
of that support being targeted at the most vulnerable families in our society.
You useless cunt.
Thank you,
It's still
Mr.
not going to stop
Speaker.
them paying more
After
per unit
8,000
of energy
residents
than the
of
richest
Redditch
people in
signed
the UK.
my petition to bring back chemotherapy to the Annex, the Trust reversed their decision to leave it at Kidderminster permanently. A fantastic win for our town. And I'm grateful to the local acute trust for listening so carefully and changing their mind. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that it's right that the acute trust can change its mind on the provision of maternity and paediatric services so that women can give birth in our wonderful town of Redditch?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend has clearly been a fantastic advocate for the Alex and for her constituents. We have awarded £10.5 million to the local trust, and I understand that some of that funding is being used to improve maternity and paediatric services at the nearby Worcestershire Royal. My honourable friend will know that these operational decisions are being made by integrated care boards, and I know that she will continue to make
Fuck
reviews
the
known.
Tories. Bum, 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 bum.
Mr. Speaker, if I had a pound for every time I'd heard the Prime Minister's weak excuses, I'd be able to pay the former Chancellor's tax bill.
Whoa!
It was last July that it was reported that the National Crime Agency had investigated the Right Honourable Member for Stratford-on-Avon. The then Prime Minister knew. The media knew. We all knew. It's inconceivable that the current Prime Minister didn't know. So why did he choose to ignore it?
Come on, knobhead. Come on, you little half-pike cunt. Stand up, sir. Oh, you are standing.
That's
go
the
on.
process
Did you see
that
that?
the party
That little
opposite
smile
called
he did
for.
then.
That's the process that we followed.
Oh, the process is following process.
Mr. Speaker, 2 years ago, the Prime Minister commissioned me to propose 30 ways to boost growth and make Britain the most competitive country in the world.
So this cunt is married to Dildo Harding.
But some of the most
Dildo, who took £37 billion of our money to make a fucking app for our phones that didn't work.
Haven't moved
His
at all.
fucking
So will he
wife.
meet with me to discuss how to channel our inner Nigel Lawsons and unblock the arteries of our economy with low-cost, pro-competition, supply-side reforms?
What? You know that Nigel Lawson is a massive Brexiteer.
Track record in advocating for and implementing policies that increase our competitiveness and reform the supply side of our economy.
We're lowest in all of the advanced and emerging economies. We have the worst performing economy out of all of them.
Mr. Speaker, ambulance
Worse
waiting
than
times
Russia?
are out of
Worse than
control.
Russia with all of its fucking sanctions.
My constituent contacted me regarding her 93-year-old mother who lay collapsed on the ground at home for 17 hours and then queued for 13 hours to get into the hospital. And yet on Monday, the Prime Minister said he had his fingers crossed
that ambulance waiting times would be reduced.
Oh, well, that's it.
Does
Then
he
he's
really
got
think
his
that's
fingers
enough?
crossed. Yeah. Come on, mate. Come on, Catherine. He's got his
Mr.
fingers
Speaker,
crossed.
the already actually looked. We published on Monday a comprehensive
So he's got his
plan
fucking fingers
to
crossed behind
reduce
his
wait
fucking
times
back.
in
Cunt.
A&E and with ambulances.
Come on, what? What?
Backed with more
Go fuck
funding
yourself.
and reform of the system, more
What?
beds, more ambulances, more
What?
staff. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, it was a plan
More
that
staff.
was warmly welcomed by
more
all of those
staff.
working in emergency care and the
150,000
ambulance services.
vacancies
They
in the
recognise
NHS,
that this
most
plan will deliver
vacancies
reduced waiting
ever in
times and
history.
improve care across the
Half a
country,
million people
including
are on
in
strike
Labour and
today
Wales, where there are
because
some
of this
things we can
cunt
benefit
and his
them
mates.
from.
It's fucking rich, privileged private school cunt mates.
And you want to be a dentist, the nearest place you can train is in Birmingham or in London. So it's not really surprising, is it, that in Norfolk we have a dearth of dentists, whether it's NHS or private.
Where people are
We also know that where there is a
even though
dental training
they
school, more
live
dentists end up
dry stone
working
walls,
locally. So will
chewing a bit of
my right
straw,
honourable friend agree to look
laughing so
again
hard
at the
they fall off
benefits
the
of
wall?
establishing a dental training school alongside the excellent medical school at the University of East Anglia?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend will know that there are around 400 dentists with NHS activity in Norfolk and
Lincolnshire. I'm sorry.
But he's right, the centres of dental development build on the existing local infrastructure to help
Plum
retain
Duff, what's wrong
and
with you?
recruit dentists. And I would advise him to encourage his local integrated care board
Fuck
to
the
look
Tories,
at
Ben.
proposals for
Fuck
one
the
of those
Tories.
centres in his area.
Mary Kelly Ford.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister once said that he didn't have any working class friends.
Very funny
So
again.
we may not be aware that
Yeah.
today,
Maya. It's Maya.
500,000 hard-working people are on strike, including in his
said that.
own constituency.
I
Tory Britain isn't working.
I say it here, it comes out there.
Is the Prime Minister going to get a grip and negotiate with working people, or does he intend being remembered as the PM who silenced and sacked hard-working nurses, paramedics, teachers, rail workers and firefighters in a
That's what he's
cost
planning
of
to do.
living crisis?
Yeah.
Well,
Good point. Well,
Mr. Speaker,
Well,
when
it's very
when it
important that
comes
we sack
to
people who
teachers,
aren't
we've
earning very
actually
much.
given teachers the highest pay rise in 30 years.
What?
Includes a
Stop
9%
lying.
pay rise for
Stop
newly qualified
lying.
teachers and record
Stop
investment
lying.
in their training
They're
and
not
development.
necessarily
I am
striking
clear
because of the wages,
that
by the
our
way. They're striking
children's
because
education
you haven't
is
given them any
precious,
fucking
and they
money to run the
deserve to be in school
schools.
today
And they're
being taught. And actually, the party
despairing
opposite
under
would
the
do
weight of the
well
work they've got to do.
say that the strikes are wrong and we should be backing our school children.
No, mate. The strikes are only happening because of
Thank
you.
Mr.
If you
Speaker.
think they're wrong, stop them by
Sadly,
negotiating,
suicide
you
is the biggest killer of
cunt.
young people under 35 in the UK.
Why would Penrith
My
vote for this
constituent,
cunt?
Andy Airy, along with Tim Owen and Mike Palmer, are the three dads walking. Andy, Tim and Mike each tragically lost their precious daughters, Sophie, Emily
Okay, so
and Beth,
let's get
to
this right.
suicide.
We've had
and have campaigned tirelessly
children
through
dying is
charity
bad,
walking
babies dying
for
is bad,
suicide
cancer's
awareness
bad.
and prevention to be
What
included
was
in
the other
school
one we've had that's
curriculum.
bad? Will the
I've been
right
humbled to support
honourable
them, including
gentleman
joining them on their
agree with
UK
me
walk
that these
as they
things are
came
bad?
through Penrith,
Are bad
with
things
their
bad?
petition, which is due for parliamentary debate on the 13th of March, and with my early day motion, which has support from right across the House. Would the Prime Minister join me in paying tribute to the three dads? And would he meet with
Why are you
me
making
and the
them
three
walk?
dads to discuss suicide prevention and ultimately
why are you making
save
them walk?
young lives in the future?
Go on.
Mr. Speaker,
you gonna
of
meet
course
with them?
I pay tribute to Andy, Tim and Mike, especially for channeling their own personal tragedies into such positive action to prevent this happening to other families.
No, they're trying
That
to
is
get you
inspiring and
to
they
do some
deserve
positive
enormous
action, you
credit.
cunt.
The government is
driven
taking
more
action
people.
to
Even your
improve the
party's
provision of
driven more
mental
people to
health
fucking
services for
suicide
young
than
people in
anything
schools
else
and
in this
colleges,
country's
but I
history.
would be delighted to meet
Cunt.
with him and Andy, Mike and Tim to
Well, go on
discuss
then.
what more we can do.
Ian Blackford.
How about make the future not fucking terrible? I love Ian Blackford. I miss him. I do. I miss him. Gotta say.
Thank you.
He's back.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you for that welcome. Ordinary people didn't need to hear an IMF forecast to understand that the UK economy is the worst performer amongst the leading nations in the world.
Yeah.
They live with it every day.
Yeah.
People know their energy bills are through the roof. They know that 750,000 households face defaulting on their mortgages while house prices fall. And they know that food prices are rising at a record rate of 16.7% as of today. The Prime Minister is 100 days in office, his party 13 years in power. In all that time, does the Prime Minister ever reflect that the only thing that the Tory party has been good at is pushing people into poverty?
Yes! Well said, Ian.
Oh, Mr. Speaker.
Fuck off, Rishi.
It's wonderful to hear from the right honourable gentleman.
What a jolly day for a straw boater.
The UK, including and in Scotland. He mentioned poverty today lower than when the Conservatives first came into office. Inequality lower than when the Conservatives first came into office.
Inequality's lower. Don't be just lying now. Correct the fucking records. Correct the record. Correct the record. Inequality is lower. Are you fucking? Are you mad?
Today in my constituency, there is a
the richest made twice as much money as they've ever fucking had during the pandemic.
Horrific dog attack that killed a 4-year-old girl. The police investigation is still going on, and it wouldn't be appropriate to speculate on the circumstances. But it would mean a great deal if, on behalf of the House, the Prime Minister could send our condolences to the family and to the community, and to thank the emergency services for dealing with the situation with their customary compassion and professionalism.
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend and send my condolences, and I'm sure the whole House's condolences, to the girl's family and the community after this horrific incident. And I join him in thanking the emergency services. They have responded rapidly and professionally, and I know that my honourable friend himself will be supporting them and his constituents during this difficult time.
Christine Jardine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This past weekend...
Mr. Deputy Speaker. Whoops. That's not my name. That's not my name.
Can I blame the painkillers, please? Apologies, Mr. Speaker, and thank you. This past weekend, I visited a charity which was hosting an exhibition in my constituency about metastatic breast cancer, which claims 31 lives each day in the United Kingdom. And the women there asked me to convey at the first opportunity to the government the need for more awareness, more support, more research, and more drug availability. Can I ask the Prime Minister if he will do that, if he will help to bring that support? But also, I have written to the Scottish Government asking for their support, if in his next meetings with the First Minister he would mention it to her.
Well, Mr. Speaker, can I pay tribute to the charity that the Honourable Lady mentioned for the work they do? She's absolutely right. Awareness is key in tackling and identifying breast cancer symptoms early. One of the reasons why we're investing more in diagnostic screening tools to make sure that we can detect more cancers earlier and treat them and ultimately save people's lives. I would be happy to pick up this particular topic with the First Minister.
If anyone that he loves gets cancer, he can afford to pay for their treatment privately and they'll get seen the next day,
regardless of where they live
probably.
in the UK.
Charlie's being equal.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks
Speaker.
very much for the super chat, David.
In the United
and yeah,
Kingdom
Theresa
government's
Villiers is a fucking massive
with the
fucking
EU
hypocrite.
regarding the Northern Ireland Protocol,
Talking
would the
of
Prime Minister
hypocrites,
kindly confirm to the House
here's a Tory.
that the sovereignty of the United Kingdom and its four nations will not be compromised?
Mr. Speaker, I can give my honourable friend that assurance.
There's a 40 billion
that he cares
black
passionately
hole
about.
in our
The implementation of the protocol
budget,
is having an impact for
because of
communities
Brexit.
in Northern Ireland.
A year. That's
why
every year
it
for the
needs
rest of
to be
fucking
addressed, and that's what we
eternity
are attempting to
until we
do through
rejoin the
constructive
EU.
dialogue. But the goal of
40
that must be
billion.
to ensure Northern Ireland's place in our
Sovereignty!
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since the election of
twice
the
on my bingo
fascist
card.
Israeli government in December last year, there has been an
I don't think you
increase
should
in
call
human
them
rights
fascists,
violations against
Kim.
Palestinian civilians,
Kim,
including
I
children.
really don't think you should use the
Can
word
the Prime
fascist.
Minister tell us how he is challenging what
I'm no
and
fan
other
of Benjamin
human rights
Netanyahu,
organisations
but
are referring to
I
an
think there's got to be
apartheid
trouble
state?
about her calling him that.
Well, Mr.
they are an
Speaker,
ally
the
of
Honourable
ours.
Lady also failed to mention the horrific attacks on civilians inside Israel as well. And it's important in this matter to remain calm and urge all sides to strive for peace, and that's very much what I will do.
You're doing so much to
Prime
strive
Minister
for
and in the
peace, Richie. You're
conversations
doing
I've had
absolutely
with the Israeli
fucking
Prime
nothing but
Minister.
paying lip service to the situation.
Mr.
Maybe if some
Speaker,
international
2016, the
states,
British people had
people,
the
men and women,
wisdom
actually
and
took the bull by the
foresight
horns and
take
tried
back
to get
control.
a peaceful solution to what's happening in Israel-Palestine. Maybe we'll move things, but, you know, we'll just condemn stuff. We'll just say things. It's easier. The fuck, South Holland and the Deepings? Where the fuck is that? Is that in Lord of the Rings or something?
Of illegal migration.
We're going to the Deepings, Gandalf. Oh, he's going on about illegal immigration. Fucking hell, you deformed fucking potato. What the fuck?
Fulfill the promise
What?
was made to the British people then.
What was the promise?
Get rid of all the foreigners. An excellent point. That's why one of this government's
Foreigner came and took my wife.
Promises to the British people is indeed to stop the boats. We will introduce new legislation that makes it unequivally clear that if you arrive in this country
stop the boats by giving an illegal method for getting into the country as an asylum seeker. Go on. All it'll take is a fucking website. Come on, I'll make a website for you. We'll do it together. It'll be fun. Come on, let's make a website so that asylum seekers, genuine asylum seekers, can apply. No, everyone's fucked off. Right, fucking hell. Well, that was shite, wasn't it? God, what a bunch of cunts. I fucking hate them. Honestly, the Tories are just such utter shits. It's a little bit embarrassing of just how shitty they are. They are literally the fucking worst. Now I'm just gonna grow. Hopefully I'm not gonna freak anyone out. Woo! There you go. Just grew on the screen. And I'm gonna stop the feed here on my other screen, which is obviously making the processor on my laptop just absolutely shit itself for some reason. Fucking hell. Come on, get on with it, you bastards. Right. Anyway. So, back to you, my little friends. How are you today? Are we seeing some of the most expensive prompters in history? I don't know what you mean. Just more distraction, indeed. Lincolnshire, indeed, yes. So John Hayes sitting in front of the hairdresser's mannequin there. If something bad happens to the last person I want to see, if something bad happens, the last person I want to see is a Tory MP. Well, yeah, I think we all feel a bit like that, to be honest with you. I want to see the Tories out-mobbed by the SNP on the benches next election. Yes, that would be fucking fantastic. I want the next government to be Labour, the SNP, and the Lib Dems together, like as a national fucking coalition. Until we get proportional representation. I've got a few fucking problems with the way it's set up at the moment, and people on the left who support first past the post, they blow my fucking mind. They're like people on the left who support Brexit. It's like, why would you support this thing that only benefits rich cunts who want power? I'm 43 years old. 30 of the years that I've lived on this fucking earth have been under a massively cunty Tory government. 30 fucking years under these cunts because of first past the post. In fact, there's only been 3 elections since the war that the Tories have won outright in terms of the popular vote. 3. All the other elections, every single other election, the Tories won with a minority of the vote, which is just ridiculous. And so what you have is a load of parties, centre-left parties, ultra-left parties, whatever, all taking bits off the vote from each other. And the Tories they just cannibalise anyone who turns up on the right. So UKIP comes along in 2013, does quite well in the European elections. They're like, oh shit, we need to do something about this. They need to stamp this out. So what we'll do is we'll become UKIP, yes. And then just sort of this whole conservative blob just moves over to absorb by osmosis the fucking Nazis at UKIP. And listen, I'm quite happy to use language like Nazis and fascists when I'm talking about people like Nigel Farage, people in my country right now. I'm happy to use it when I'm talking about Vladimir Putin. I'm happy to use it about certain leaders around the world. But I wouldn't use the word fascist to describe the government of another country that's an ally of ours. I think that's problematic to say in Parliament. And obviously, Kim, Liverpool Riverside there, she's protected by parliamentary privilege, but I think that was a bit of a bad move myself. I'm a bit uncomfortable about that, although I do think that Benjamin Netanyahu is a cunt, and yeah, some of his policies are pretty fucking fascistic, but actually using the F word in Parliament there, I think that is... we've got to think about international diplomacy and all that kind of stuff. We can slag off Russia all we like, just slagging off Russia. I mean, if you want to talk about a country that's killed loads of people who are Muslim, Russia's pretty much top of the league over the last 10 years. Would you believe it? Because of the number of people that Russia has killed in Syria by supplying the leader of Syria, al-Assad, with all kinds of fucking weapons to kill his own people with. Yeah. He was going to lose the civil war, don't forget, until the Russians backed him and completely flattened Homs and Aleppo. Just flattened the fucking place. Killed thousands of Muslims in Syria. So if you're going to have a go at, I don't know, maybe that's probably a little bit whataboutery. I know. But I wouldn't have used that language. And I do stick with what I say about the lack of any international program, actual momentum towards getting a peace deal in the Middle East. Oh, well, no, not in the Middle East in general, specifically in Israel-Palestine, getting a peace deal. In the 90s, there was attempts after attempts after attempts with the Camp David Accords, Bill Clinton. The international community was really interested in trying to solve this problem. And then after September the 11th, the international community couldn't give a fuck anymore. And that was 22 years ago. Fuck. Oh my God. That's so long ago. But yeah, after that, it was just like, okay, Israel, do what you like. And what you've got is this ridiculous situation, a horrible, disgusting situation in which the people in Gaza will stockpile weapons, missiles for a few years until they've got enough of them, and then when they've got enough of them, they'll start firing them into Israel. A couple of them will actually hit people and maybe kill people, but a lot of them will be intercepted by the Iron Dome or whatever it's called in Israel. But Israel will respond proportionately. 1 in 10. So for every one Israeli who is killed, they will try and kill 10 Palestinians, and that will, create a lot of horror and heartbreak and bloodshed. And then, once they've run out of rockets, the things will settle down, or seem to settle down a bit, and then we'll go through this cycle again, another few years, and another few years, and another few years, until we get the participants who sit down in a room together and knock out some kind of agreement so this stops happening. But there is no international, well, there doesn't seem to be any international will to make that happen. A failing of the US, the UK, the EU, to be honest with you, a failing of leadership around the world on this particular issue. And it's heartbreaking that the Israelis themselves feel like the only person who can protect them is fucking Bibi. Anyway, happy birthday, Alexander. Marcus shouldn't have to. Not just, what did Marcus have to do? Why has Marcus had to make his videos private? It's because he's swearing too much, apparently, which is a cunting, fucking, worrying, Christing, bastard, shitting, buggering, cunty fucking thing that he has to do. But yeah, apparently Marcus is having to make his videos private because he keeps getting strikes against him for swearing. He's had 2 for swearing. So I don't know what the fuck's going to happen to me, because I don't want to stop swearing. It's fun. I like swearing, especially in my not safe for work PMQs, where the unique selling point is I swear a lot. Anyway, if you got 2 more strikes, they will take his channel down permanently. Indeed. YouTube decided that a couple of videos it made before they changed the rules were breaking the new rules. It suspended his account for a week. Yeah. Absolute fucking nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Marcus is the guy who runs the All Shorts channel, which I really recommend you subscribe to. He's very funny, and he likes to do little special effects in his videos and things like that. He's really good at what he does. And he came over to stay with me, work with me on Ginger Island last year. No, God, year before now, in 2021 for 6 weeks, which was a lot of fun. A steep learning curve for us both, I fear. But yes, maybe I'll get Marcus on this show. Maybe I'll get him on tomorrow night to talk about YouTube and what cunty cunts there are at cunting YouTube cunts. I'm just seeing if I get a strike. If I do get a strike, I'm fucked. Because I've got fucking over 1,000 fucking videos that I'm going to have to make private, which isn't much fun. I can't believe it when Marcus messaged me last night. Graham, it was for hate speech against Penis Morgan. Yes. I mean, like, Penis Morgan, I mean, he's a man who gives out hate speech, but you can't give hate speech to him. He's a man who hates Meghan Markle with the loathing that I regard for, like, I don't know, him. But yeah, he's a horrible, horrible weasel of a man who lied about British soldiers urinating on Iraqi prisoners, which actually put British soldiers' lives at risk in Iraq. He put it on the front page of his newspaper, The Mirror, at the time. And he's a fucking liar. He's a fucking liar. Didn't fucking happen. And then you've got the phone hacking, which he did, which he authorized, and then said, "Oh, I don't know anything about this phone hacking." They hacked the voicemail of this is not just Piers Morgan. This is the whole fucking journalistic, privately educated tabloid fucking cabal. They hacked the voicemail of Millie Dowler, who was a murdered teenager, and they deleted messages off it. They deleted messages off a dead teenager's voicemail. A dead child's fucking voicemail. That her parents and the police, they thought that she still might be alive because she was deleting messages. Imagine giving that false hope to parents whose child is missing, and they're hoping against hope that she's still alive, and then the fucking tabloids, Penis Morgan and his mates, do that kind of thing. He can go fuck himself to unalive. Anyway, yeah, so I was going to say, with Marcus and with me, I mean, any other YouTubers who like to swear, I don't know what the fuck Super Tansy's going to do. I think we're going to have like a list of words that we use as euphemisms, like unalive. Because I like to say now, instead of saying what I want to say, I'll say, I want them unalived in the least painless way possible. Because that kind of gets around the censor. Because obviously this is all AI. So it's just analysing what you're saying and then going, I found the thing that you said that you shouldn't say. This is the same YouTube that has allowed videos about self-harm. This is the same YouTube that has allowed videos mocking people for committing suicide, encouraging people to commit suicide. This is the same YouTube that basically promoted the shit out of Andrew Tate, who has now gone on to this chinless fucking poster boy for the fucking virgins of the world, the pathetic virgins of the world, who can't get laid because women have rights. Well, maybe if you weren't such a cunt, maybe try that. Maybe just try not being a cunt for a day. Might not work, might work. You never know. There's someone for everyone out there somewhere. Just keep plugging away. No, we're going to watch this guy. He's a pick-up artist, and he's going to tell us how to treat women like shit. We'll put that out on YouTube. It's like, fucking hell. All right, but now they're clamping down on swearing and saying that Penis Morgan should be yeeted into the sea. Perhaps Marcus could do a still incorrigible. I've written tweets that are borderline libelous, except they are accurate, indeed. That Piers Morgan, he's, shall we say, beyond reproach. He's a cunt. A lot of trifling nuisance. You're not banning Matt Walsh for being a transphobic piece of shit. Yeah, indeed. Oh my God, like there's a video out by Sam Smith in which he dresses up in which they dress up in women's clothes, and that's fine. I seem to remember the video for I Want to Break Free by Queen, which came out when I was 3, I think, and I watched it on Top of the Pops and it didn't kill me. No one died. I watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show as well, in which Frankenfurter dressed as a lady and no one died. Yeah, but Sam Smith does it, and suddenly, oh my God, Sam Smith has done this provocative music video. How dare they? Only I'm not going to say they, I'm going to say he, because I say that they're a man. Well, you know what, Julia Hartless-Brewer, you know what, Richard Madeley, I say you're a cunt. Can I call you Cunty McCuntflaps instead of your actual name? Is that all right? Because that's what I see you as. I don't care what you want to call yourself. I'm going to call you Cunty McCuntflaps for the rest of your life. And I'm going to have it come up on the screen when you're on television. It's going to say, Cunty McCuntflap, useless cunt. That's going to be your job title, useless cunt, because that's what you fucking are. Anyway, but yeah, pronouns. There was a great tweet that someone was putting around saying, no one should use, no one should use they pronouns. I don't care who they are. Just use the they pronoun. You just literally used it. You used it in your complaint about people using the they. Fuck me sideways. Anyway, transphobia, eh? Isn't it fun? Homophobia, yay! Have you ever seen the episode of Have I Got News For You with Piers Morgan? He really showed his colours if you didn't know what the kind of person he was. Yeah, just rip into him. He's a horrible little shit. It's like the Rocky Horror hasn't been a thing for 50 years. Exactly, Jim Bob. I just have a dream about being having a truly independent media platform. Well, this is a truly independent media platform, but, you know... we have no backing. I mean, maybe if there was some eccentric millionaire out there who wanted to drop £1 million on us, and then we could all work together, me and Marcus and Super Tansky and a different bias, what's his name? Phil Morehouse and Ollie Bowler Hatman. We could just all work together on the same platform. It'd be fucking amazing. But unfortunately, the funding is not there. It really isn't fucking there. Because no one wants to put their money where their mouth is. Well, actually, the people with money are all cunts. I know it's going to sound like I'm just this classist, not classist. I guess I am a bit classist against the upper class. But, you know, basically, everyone with money in this country just wants to keep their money. And they don't give a fuck about anyone else. They don't care about the nurses. They don't care about the teachers. They don't care about the firefighters. They don't care about the people working on the railways. They don't care about anyone but themselves. And it shows. It really fucking shows. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm going to be doing more stuff over the next month or so. So today I'm probably going to do my first TikTok video, proper political TikTok video. So I'll be trying to put that out on my TikTok channel, which is I've forgotten what it is. I think it's at Graham Hughes, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Let me look it up on my phone. Should I look it up on my phone? It's going to be embarrassing. The first video that's going to come up on TikTok's going to be some scantily clad maiden bopping about. So I'm just checking what my TikTok channel is called, so you can go over there and follow me on it. Anyway, listen, it's coming up to 1 o'clock. Fuck. Oh no, it's okay. It's Byline TV. There you go. That's the first video that came up for me was Byline TV. Phew. That could have been embarrassing. Anyway, so what am I doing here? Me profile. There you go. Oh, it's at That Ginger Scouser. Okay, so it's the same as the channel here. So this channel is youtube.com/That Ginger Scouser. My TikTok channel is at That Ginger Scouser. So what I'm going to do, Twitter was supposed to be left-wing. Now look what's happened. Yeah, well, I've hardly used Twitter. I've hardly used Twitter at all these last couple of months because of Elon Musk just being the biggest twat of all time. I mean, that takes quite a biscuit. I mean, cunt of the year for last year, fucking Putin and Musk. I mean, they were pretty much, obviously it's got to be Putin because he fucking murdered a bunch of people, but fucking murdered so many people, destroyed so many lives. Fucking hate him. Anyway, but yeah, Musk is fucking up there though, isn't he? He's just, what a shit. What an absolute fucking shit. What a monumental gobshite. Anyway, as I was about to say, we're coming up to the end of the episode, but what I want to start doing, which is something that I should have been doing, I'm really sorry, my time management hasn't been particularly great for the last 6 months or so, probably a bit longer than 6 months. My nice little routine got kind of kicked all out of whack last March when I started UK for UKR and going over to Ukraine to pick up refugees and to drop supplies off. And since then, it's never got back to where it should be. I'm trying to sort that out this year. And then I started the year with great, hope to hit the ground running and do loads of shows and make loads of content and keep you all entertained. And then, I got fucking floored by the worst flu I've ever had. Like, I've mentioned this a lot, and I'm going to mention it again, but when I went to every country in the world without flying, I wasn't ill. I didn't have a day off ill. I had hangovers, but I didn't have a day off ill. So to be knocked out for a week, well, not knocked out, but, in bed for a week, going, was pretty, I don't know, it's kind of like embarrassing, but I blame it on the fact that we had COVID. Everyone wore masks for 2 years, so we didn't get the same low-level viral load throughout the year. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to get around to making is I'm going to go over to the Discord server in a minute, and I had to make a new Discord server because the old one had some problems. Some people were fighting on it, and they started talking about legal action, and I just went, whoa, fuck off. So if you're going to go over there, right, this is supposed to be for patrons only, but if you're watching this and you're not a patron, come over for this, for a chat now. And honestly, if you think this is good enough, become a patron. But I'm just going to open Discord and accept all cookies. I'll put the link in here. But yeah, so I had to start a new Discord, and it never really took off like the old one did because I just wasn't around enough. And I'm really, really sorry. Really sorry about that. But my focus from now on needs to be a lot more on making content and making, breaking the news. Not breaking the news. I don't know what's fucking going on. I just comment on it. Commenting on the news, which is all the people who write for newspapers. That's all they do. I mean, it's not as though you read some news in a newspaper. You read news online, and then the next day you read what a toff thinks about it in the newspapers. I'm really sorry about this, but Discord is taking absolutely ages to load up. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with my computer today. It is just all over the shop. I might need to do. I'll reset it. Do you know what it is? Computer's not plugged in. Give me one moment. So that's why this stream has been so low quality. Fucking computer wasn't plugged in. Like Scotty says in Star Trek, I don't have the power. I just don't have the power, Jim. Right, which is a bit shit, isn't it? Anyway, so I'm going to invite you along. Hopefully this link will work. This link will work. I don't know. Maybe it won't. Who cares? Who knows? Who cares? And obviously I've got to put it into my YouTube thing, so I will do that momentarily. I'm going to read some of your comments while I'm waiting for YouTube to boot up. This planet needs burning, says Duke Vengeance. It already is, mate. Don't worry. Once won the lottery, trust me, this time next year, etc. Indeed. It's almost a year since the war in Ukraine began. News channels are gearing up for it. Fucking 1 year of the most horrific fucking war that we've seen in many, many years. Well, in Europe, that we've seen since the Serbian Bosnian conflicts of the 1990s. It's just so fucking heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking that we're here. We're in the 2020s and we just still haven't got stuff sorted out. But yeah, so here's the link for the Discord. Invite people. Make an invite. Oh wow, I can invite all these people. I will invite them in a moment. Right. So this link will expire after an hour. So don't be trying to use it if you're watching it on catch up because it won't work. But yeah, if you jump on there you go. This link will self-destruct in 1 hour. I'm warning you. Thanks very much, number 3. Graham needs funding. Yes, Graham always needs funding. Thank you very much for saying that. And thank you very much for throwing in 20 quid, mate. I really appreciate it. Still don't know why Musk hasn't had the memes around his name being akin to a funky animal gland aroma. Oh, yeah, that's true. There's certain musk about that man. He smells like the anal glands of a fucking skunk. Right, so listen, if you join us on the after hours chat on the Discord, the link is there in the chat. You should be able to click on it now. And I'll be over there for the next half an hour, and I'll boot up the video and stuff, and you can ask questions, and we can have a talk about what's been going on. You don't have to put your video on. You can just listen on. Also, there's a chat function, so you can just leave messages if you want, but I'm going to be there for the next half an hour. But I might reset my computer before I go over, just because it's not running very well at the moment. If you're not coming over to the Discord server, I'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock for another episode of War on Error. And until then, oh, wow. Oh, Plum Duff. £5 from Plum Duff. Thank you very much, Plum Duff. You're very, very kind. You're very generous. Goodbye, everyone, says Context. Hey, don't jump the gun. So, until then, hope to see you at 9 o'clock tomorrow on Thursday. I'll try and get Marcus on. If he's banned for a week, I'll try and get him on the show. And we can have a live discussion, I hope. We'll try and make that happen. But yes, goodbye, everyone. That sounds really final, Context. But I will see you tomorrow. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching, and we'll return with what's it called, War on Air tomorrow. And until then, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. I clicked on the link, but it didn't work. Okay, right, I'm going now. Bye.